Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. We are going to be doing a full review of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Let me just get my banner on. Forgot to do that. Alrighty, and with that, also, before I do get started, big shout out to Ryan Kennel from RK Outpost. I already tagged him on Twitter, but I wanted to show off my new duds. Loving this shirt. I put it on yesterday just to show him. Then I put back my original shirt. But yeah, loving this shirt. Gonna wear it today. Supposed to be temperate out, so I'll stay warm and whatnot. Now, we're gonna get into The Last Airbender, the Avatar series from Nickelodeon. It was done in a pretty decent anime style, even though I don't think it was a Japanese anime. Now, I am also going to do comparisons to the live-action adaptation that M. Night Shyamalan attempted and did not do a very good job at. So, yeah. I had something in my mouth that was not supposed to be there. Anyway. That's what she said. Yeah. Anyway, folks, Avatar, the movie, basically tried compressing all of the first season in one movie, which is okay at the best of time. I mean, they took out some major filler, which is decent. But the main problem that I had with Avatar: The Last Airbender was the casting. After seeing the show, I noticed that the characters they had, like Zuko, Iroh, and Ozai, the Fire Lord, and even the sister, why did they go Indian instead of going Chinese? The casting made no sense. And while the movie is fun, I also would not have cast the woman they had as Katara in the show or in the movie. I would have picked somebody who had a slightly darker complexion. And that has nothing to do with wokeness. That just happens to do with the accuracy of the expression of the character. They didn't make it about race in this show at all, and I absolutely love the show. The movie, they didn't do that either, but they also didn't keep Momo. I like Momo. Momo was the little lemur, the flying lemur that joined them, and he didn't stick around. They only kept Appa in the movie, so it's like Momo was important. Damn it. And the first season was just freaking great. I mean, yeah, it led up to the Fire Nation, brought in the Blue Spirit, which was Zuko in disguise. But the movie also kind of did divert Sorry about that, folks. Internet connections and whatnot. Always gonna have them while I'm living here. Anyway, hello, Chris Cook. Good to see you. Now, back to the review. I'm basically going over minor differences right now. And how you doing, Mongo? Some of the live action adaptation wasn't bad. I mean, when they did the Zuko as the blue spirit thing to break out the Avatar, the mask in the movie was actually pretty close to accurate. And while you can't really copy a cartoon perfectly, but they did a very good job. Now, the main problem with live action adaptation is you do take out some major important things, and what they did was they compressed, as I said before my internet went out, they compressed all of season 1 into one movie. Not the best idea. I mean, they went to the Earth Kingdom in the first movie, and they also met different Earth people or different Earthbenders and whatnot along the way in the first season. I mean, his friend from the Earth Kingdom back before he went into the ice was in the first season. They never made any mention of him in the movie. Now, I do like his friends that were still alive and whatnot. Also, I do like that Roku, his previous Avatar incarnation, was connected to Zuko's family line. He was his great grandfather, not just Sozin, or Sozin wasn't just his grandfather, but so was the Avatar Roku. So it's pretty cool that the whole show ends with Zuko as the Fire Lord to rebuild the nation, and Aang is his friend and whatnot. It was a great show. Season 1 was very well put together, and one of the things that's getting harder to find nowadays is the lack of agenda in shows. It is so refreshing to see an older show because they don't have agenda. It's back during a time where hey, Origins. Hail Orange 8, huh? Yeah, thank you. Hat. I know what you meant, though, but thank you. It's so refreshing to see a show that's without agenda. And one of the things is this show, it was just done so well. Even they had digital graphics in the show too, which was okay because it didn't impact the show too much. And it was objectively done well. The writing was a little here and there in some areas. I mean, the character of Azula, the Fire Lord's daughter, was one of my least favorite characters because she is so hateful. I mean, I absolutely hate her. The character is not likable in any sense of the word. She is a spoiled brat that basically is a prodigy that is undeserved of her power. But that's also what makes her a great villain. Now, I can hate something and fully acknowledge that it is great. And the character Azula was truly done great. Her friends, Ty Lee and May, only followed her out of fear. And when they found something greater, they dropped their loyalty to her because they realized she was unhinged. And yes, Azula was very unhinged. Now, because of how great the show was, I do not honestly see how they could have done a better job or even a good job with a live action sequel to the first movie. I mean, the guy that played as General Iroh in the movie, he's a good actor. It's just the Iroh in the movie and the Iroh in the show is very, very different. I mean, yes, they are both compassionate and they're they're both very caring about things and the sensitivities of the world and the spirit world and all that. But one of the things they did in the movie was they had to, or firebenders could only bend as long as fire was around them. They couldn't generate it. Except for Iroh, who managed to create fire from his own chi. And I'm like, in this show, they're doing it all over the place, man. They're creating fire from their own energy and all that stuff. So yeah, whatever they tried to do with the movie, The Last Airbender, was just freaking bad. Also, the actress that played Katara, like I said, she just wasn't one that I would make as Katara. She tried doing the Katara from the show. It didn't do well. Like I said, when it comes to casting a movie, you do want to be as accurate as you can, consistent as you can. I would not have whitewashed the Southern Water Tribe. They were a darker skinned people. They were more, or they weren't dark skin, but they were a darker skin of people. The people, or the Avatar, he did look American. He did look, or he had the wider eyes and all that stuff. Where other characters looked Asian. You could tell the difference. You could tell that they were of different race. But what they did in the movie, it's like you're grabbing people here. You grabbed him because he was in Twilight, or the one that played Sokka's live action counterpart, the guy that was in Twilight, not Pattinson, but the other one. Anyway, I would have tried to maintain a consistency. Now, the characters themselves are very interesting. I like that they brought some characters back who were minor, who are only part of the show for like 1 or 2 episodes, but then they come back to help and whatnot. Basically, it's to evince that the Avatar has an effect on some people and not on everyone. Now, the second season where they bring in Toph. Toph is one of my favorite characters. And it's not just because she's a kooky character and she's a great earthbender or whatnot. It's because of her blindness. This kid is blind. She's like barely 10 or 11 years old or something. I think she's like 13. I don't know how old she is. But she's around the same age as the kids. And her blindness is what made her, or helped shape her into a great earthbender. And it's because of that she kind of uses her feet in order to sense everything around her, sort of like earth echolocation. And it was just so awesome how they did it. And one of the things is when she was teaching Aang earthbending, he wasn't getting it. So Katara, who ended up helping Aang master waterbending, basically told her, be a little bit more positive reinforcement. This is how he responds best. This is how you can help him find his way. And while they don't get along all the time, honestly, I thought Sokka would have been kind of better off with Toph, even though I know that he liked Suki. I mean, I just feel bad for Toph in a way because she really liked Sokka, and she just didn't know how to express it really. But I also like that she wasn't always jealous either when another girl was around. I mean, she secretly admired Sokka. And Sokka, even though he's like the comic relief and whatnot, there are episodes in the show where he truly comes into his own. And he does have a wisdom about it, even though it's a kooky wisdom. And that is something that I really enjoyed. when he went to a swordmaster because he wanted to contribute more, because he kept on feeling that with these 3 benders, he's really not that important. So he went out and established his importance. And they also expressed that without him, the group falls apart. They can't really function. So it's good to show that Sokka had more to offer than just physical capability. And I like how they had Robert Patrick, the T-1000, in this as Sokka's sword teacher. And one of the cool things that they did in this show, when Sokka wanted to create a sword, they had a meteor hit, and he hauled the meteor, and had his friends haul the meteor and whatnot, and he fashioned a sword out of the meteor. And I'm like, that's badass. Now, I would have done folding, to be 100% honest. When you fold, or folding a sword helps temper and strengthen the steel. Now, they did a cast of a blade, meaning a cast is where you pour the metal in and you don't shape it. Folding is where you heat up the metal and then you fold and then you pound and you do it all over again. Where casting the metal is where you pour it in an already shaped form and you work it from there. And that's good and all, but I would, or my own preference would have been folding the metal. I also like Toph because she learned more about earthbending. She actually learned how to bend metal. And that was something that I was wondering. It's like, all the things with metal, you can actually, or if you're an earthbender, you can bend metal because metal is refined ore and ingots and whatnot. So yeah, she should have been able to, or she should be able to bend metal. And she then, or then later in the show, she actually does learn how to bend metal. And I'm like, okay, this is good. They are actually using the full extent of things, including the woman Hama who taught Katara how to bloodbend. Now, yes, bloodbending is seriously twisted because what it involves, but it is also a liquid. So it would have been more apt to call them liquid benders, but it doesn't sound as good as water bending. Liquid benders can bend any liquid if they know how to do it. It's not just water. They also can freeze water and whatnot. But yeah, she actually learned how to blood bend and drain water from surrounding sources. And this was in season 3. I'm going to be jumping all over the seasons, folks. I'm not going to go in order. I don't do that. I like going, or it's kind of part of my ADHD. I go random. But the ending of that episode was so off-putting because bloodbending is such a twisted form of waterbending because you're literally harming others in order to do it. You're harming a person in order to control their body and the blood in their body. I mean, it's a very dark way of waterbending. And she forced Katara to do it because she knew that Katara was a very powerful waterbender. And as they were taking her away, she's like, my work is done. You, Katara, are a bloodbender. And Katara broke down crying because she realized that that's the truth. But Katara also does use it later on when she wants to get revenge for her mother. But she realizes, that was a curve that she had to go through. That was something that she had to do. And she did let go of her anger, but she would never forgive the person who killed her father because eventually she does find him. Or mother, rather. And I also like how the story progresses in a way that, yes, it does have filler, but it does also maintain to keep some of the filler as part of the story that is important. They go off on tangents here and there, which is like very few and far between. But each adventure they have, for the most part, is essential to the Avatar learning more lessons, and even the characters learning lessons. I liked how the parallel between Zuko and Iroh and the group. Iroh is one of my favorite firebenders out of the whole group of characters that are in the show. I mean, he has a wisdom that is ancient Fire Nation, not current Fire Nation that's all dominating. And it took the death of his son, sadly, to put him on that path. And he was trying to divert Zuko away from a dark path. And after a while, Zuko did divert. But then he tried going back because he was still wanting that attention and his honor. He still felt that was all important. But after his sister basically manipulates everything into going through, well, yeah. Like I said, I don't like Azula. Hold on one second. And out of the three girls, Ty Lee, May, and Azula, I actually like May. Her character was interesting. Yes, she was very stoic, is I think the best word to describe her, because she barely showed any emotion except for when Zuko was around, because she really likes Zuko. But I also like how she is relentless in her pursuits, and she's not a bender, so she uses her own physical talents to and proficiency with knives and blades to help out. Ty Lee, who was, as she says, a proud circus freak, she is a character that's, and I am going to compare this to Naruto, that's kind of like Hinata and her cousin, where she searches for pressure points to lock chakra point, or to lock a person's chakra, and also their limbs. So she was also an interesting character. I like how they had characters that weren't benders that were also important, because while bending is cool, there are those who are not benders that can do great things. Now, as for fire and lightning being linked, that's something that never really understood. But because water and fire are opposites, and electricity can truly destroy water, I guess I kind of understand how they could be linked, because fire masters like Azula and her father and Iroh, they could actually generate lightning or redirect it. Iroh or Azula and Ozai, the Fire Lord, they were able to generate it, where as was Iroh when he was teaching his nephew Zuko how to redirect it. The thing that was most interesting was the blue flame that Azula was able to generate. And I'm like, okay, if she's a prodigy, then the Avatar should also be able to use blue flame, or should also be able to conjure blue flame. And that is something that was always confusing. I mean, instead of red flame. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. That just keeps happening because of landline. She has DSL. I can't help that. Landlady and all. Anyway, uh, where was I? Oh yeah, just getting done the blue flame thing. Yeah, I would have liked it better if the Avatar was able to like wield a blue flame because of him being a prodigy and all. And well, it's good to know I'm no longer alone. Origins. I mean, Mara Jade used to have crappy internet, but she was able to get an upgrade. I can't, sadly. Um. Anyway, yes. One of the things I did like about Iroh, though, was after he was betrayed by Zuko and thrown in prison, he made the guards think that he was just a crazy old man and desperate and whatnot. But after they left, he was constantly working out his body to the point where he was a freaking buff guy. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he just busts his way out with the or during the invasion. Excuse me, during the invasion. And one of the things that I found very interesting was, again, the difference between the movie and the show was all firebenders could tap into their own energy and conjure fire, where in the movie they had to use the flame around them or any flame that was around them. And I'm like, that's, or comparing the show and the movie, it's like, yeah, that I can see as a problem because the way they perceived it in the movie. Alrighty, good. I thought I'd just in case. I remember hoping that in the song going to Okay, am I back? Can everyone hear me? Well, no one's 6 seconds. Okay, good. So yeah, all right. As I was saying, I like how Aang is not a Gary Stu, so to speak. Which, for those who are unaware of, Mary Sue is female, Gary Stu is male. Anywho, I do like how they established he is not a Gary Stu. He's not all powerful. He has to learn it. And again, I don't know if the camera froze at the point where I was saying this, but Azula cuts Aang off from the Avatar state by hitting him with a bolt of lightning in the small of his back. So this actually helps Aang's character in a way, because he was completely ready to just go full Jedi, meaning he was ready to let go of all of his earthly possessions or whatever and attachments in order to tap into the Avatar state at will and to master it completely. And no other Avatar has done that. And I like how they did that, because they cut him off from doing that with that one act from Azula, because he would have been better in a way, or he's better without that kind of detachment. And it's actually explained in the show by one of his past lives when he is actually, yeah, I think I'm freezing up here a little bit. Yeah, when he's actually trying to consult with his previous incarnations. There's something on my screen there. It is. Anywho, an airbending avatar, one of his previous airbending incarnations, tells him that to let go like that is not going to help you, because you have to be in touch with the world. You have to do what's best for the world. So detaching yourself from earthly attachments is actually not good. And I do like how that is, because anybody who is an emotionless being is just very dull, and nobody likes them. How you doing, Rambling Canuck? Now, there is one thing that I was not really, or there's one thing I wouldn't say I take issue with completely, but it was something that was kind of uncomfortable, which was the romantic element. These kids are like 12, 13 freaking years old. Well, Aang and Katara are. Zuko's like 16, 17, so him getting all smoochy with people, fine. I mean, that's older teenagers. That's going to happen. As is Zuko and May and them. But when it comes to Aang and Katara at freaking 13 years old each, saying that they love each other and whatnot, it's like, yikes. That you're kind of, uncomfortable is a word I would use. So yeah, with that bit, I would have said, I wouldn't have gone there. I mean, maybe if this movie took place over a few years where they were older, fine. I would have no problem with it. But they're 12 and 13 years old during the whole span of the seasons. And it's like, yikes, man. I would not be doing that. That's kind of a little too adult. I mean, you're putting full-blown kisses on that show. So that is one of the subjective things that I didn't like about the show. Now, with all that said, this show was truly amazing, and I am going to now start giving my official scores. So objectively, this show, the entire show, all seasons, all episodes, I would give it objective, without bias, and I'm going to be completely fair and honest, I would give it a 3.5, maybe, or out of 5. So 7, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. The show is good, don't get me wrong. It's just some of the writing was just did not seem like it was at its best. Not to mention some of the themes. This is supposed to be a kids show. Some of the themes kind of, or the romantic theme, thankfully didn't go too much ahead or too much farther than just kissing, but it's very suggestive in certain areas. And yes, adults can appreciate the show. I mean, like I said, I'm like 35 and I like the show. Now, as for subjective, I will give it a 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. Like I said, there were some things that I really didn't like, and there were some things that I liked that was really cool, but it's the romantic element that I was not really fond of. They kind of push that with 13-year-olds, and it's like, I get that there are, or that it does happen in real life. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm a freaking kid. I also had a girlfriend when I was 13, but still, it's like, yikes, this kid's talking about full-blown in love. When you're that young, it's crushes, folks. You got crushes. You're not in love at that age. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is during an age where it was way back in the past, because I mean, all the tanks and stuff and whatnot. I mean, they were just coming up with flying machines, so yeah, I can understand. But still, that was just something that kind of turned, it's like, yikes, that's a bit cringy. I mean, this kid's only, or these two are only 13-year-olds, and they're freaking talking about, or they're talking about deeply being in love with each other. Yikes. But they don't touch on it overtly. Now, showgoer, 5 out of 5. This show kept me engaged. Even the filler episodes, which were, like I said, few and far between, I thought that they were pretty well done, because the filler episodes really didn't have the whole just utter nonsense stuff. They actually had things that helped give you better insight into each character. So the fillers were good at world building and character arc. So yeah, that was actually one of the better things about it. The fillers were not really fillers. They were actual builders, I would call them. I also liked the fact that they introduced origin of bending. The first earthbenders were the cave moles, or whatever they called them. The first firebenders were dragons. The first airbenders were buffaloes. They never really explained what the first waterbenders were. I kind of wish they had, but it would have been interesting to see. Now, one of the things I will reiterate that I did like was the multiple bending that they could do. Toph, who's my favorite female character out of the entire show, she could bend metal because she realized that that metal is just refined earth. It's just refined ore. So she was able to tap into it, and she was able to, she never let her blindness, determine her reality. She exploited her blindness to improve her reality. And that is something that is very awesome to see. When it like blindness, they use to go on again. Not very well done. Wise is 13. I wouldn't say that I'm loving, and I'm not. Crush on people because these are I've seen it's now my favorite not Aang is his are again because Zuko or Roku and it coming in on the or you're coming in on the tail end. You don't recognize his voice off or right then and there, but it's like, why does that voice sound so familiar? And I actually watched the credits all the way through on that one because I watched this whole thing on Netflix. And I'm like, wait, that was Robert Patrick? Son of a bitch! So yeah, it's good that he actually jumped into voice acting as well. But yeah, anyway, folks, do I recommend Avatar The Last Airbender? Yes. And now that we are done reviewing, any questions from the chat, feel free to ask. And while you're doing that, I will, or coming up with your questions, I will go over something that I also liked. So we're doing a little bonus thing here, folks. We'll go for 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to wrap it up, making it only an hour. So I just saw the Bill and Ted 3 trailer, and I got to say, it's like, wow. Bill and Ted in today's age, it's like, yikes. I'm kind of mixed with the with it, but for the most part, I am looking forward to it. I mean, you got freaking Bill. The ending of that trailer, it's like a little dark, but it was good. It's like, what the fuck, man? Did you like the song? Yeah, it was a little dark, but it was all right. But it was freaking awesome. I'm like, holy shit, man. I'm going to watch that movie. I am seriously looking forward to seeing that movie in theaters. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna actually try reading them from here because it takes forever for chats to get up. Or nobody asked any questions. Oh, that's okay. But if you guys do have questions, feel free to ask them. Now, again, I'm gonna do a slight comparison while I wait for those questions if they ever do come. The movie, like I said, the differences that they did in the movie, and I'm going to name as many off as I can. Where they bring the Avatar and give him a test to see if he's the Avatar on the Zuko's boat. I didn't see that in the show. There were certain things that happened in the movie that was taken out of order, and there were certain things that were not explained well, like those special archers from the Fire Nation and whatnot. So it's like, yeah, those are special archers that they had in order to stop Zuko from taking Aang after he broke him out as the Blue Spirit. The dragon, the Spirit Dragon, which was completely stupid. I mean, I understood that they needed something, but it would have been better if they had this Spirit Dragon or whatever as one of his previous avatars. They really went off course with that one. The results of the Earth Kingdom being imprisoned, they were imprisoned on a oil refinery, not an actual Earth area, to where they were just broken so bad that they wouldn't bend. I mean, it's like, you guys are in the movie, that's like, you guys could have stopped the Fire Nation. This is a poor excuse for a prison. Race bending in a way, because like I said, having darker skinned people to play the Fire Nation, which mostly were lighter skinned people in the show, and having lighter skinned people play the water skin or playing the water tribe, it's like, what? Really? Not seeing it. I mean, there was just so many things wrong with the movie now that I look at it again from hindsight. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie is a decent, or it's not a good adaptation. I mean, there's so many things wrong with it, but it does have entertainment value. If I had to rate the movies, or the movie, I would say the movie is 2 out of 5 objectively. I mean, it was that bad. Subjectively, I would now, after seeing the show Last Airbender, I would say that the movie is more, or subjectively, before I seen the show, I would say that it was 4 out of 5. That's honest, subjective opinion. But now that I've seen the show, it's like, I would drop it to a 3 out of 5. But moviegoer, I would still keep it as is. It's entertaining. If you don't know anything about the show, it's entertaining. So I would give it a 4 to 4.5 out of 5. Now, I am going to start wrapping it up, as I said, or as I was waiting for viewers to give some questions, or like, what's your favorite character or whatnot. Never happened. So, but I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. Rambling Canuck, G Fan, Origins, Mongo. Who else? Chris Cook. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm at like 469 subscribers, but when I go to YouTube itself, not my studio, it says I'm at like 466. I want to thank every single one of you all. Thank you for getting me this far. Once you guys get me to 500, the hat comes off. So, and you get to hear that embarrassing story. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. If you're catching this on the replay, you all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, what you thought of Avatar: The Last Airbender show, and even about the movie. What did you guys like about the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about the show? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Who's your favorite character? All that stuff. Let me know all of your thoughts. Anyway, folks, I'm also sorry for the internet interruptions that I had. How you doing, Decepticon King? I am sorry for all the internet connection issues that I had that kicked me out for like 2-3 minutes at the beginning. Decepticon King, you are coming in a little late. I just am wrapping up, but I do thank you for dropping by as well. So yeah, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews, and stay humble. Also, before I go, next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, I am going to be doing the next versus stream, which is going to be Darth Vader versus Darth Malgus, and I believe I have one person Let me check to be 100% sure. Yes, I believe I have one position open for the Vader Malgus panel. So if anybody or if you know anybody who might want to join that panel, let me know. If you guys want to join that panel, let me know. There's only space for one person. So first come, first serve. So yeah, that one's going to be Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.